The Treaty of Versailles was signed on the 28th of June 1919. This video will explain it in detail. To understand the Treaty of Versailles, which I will now call the TOV for brevity, we first need to understand the armistice. The armistice was signed on the 11th of November 1918 and ended hostilities between the Allies and Germany, allowing for a peace deal to be discussed. Germany agreed to this because her allies had already fallen, their spring offensive into France had failed, people in German cities were starving due to the British blockade, which caused civil unrest which threatened to overthrow the German government. Despite all of this, the German people have been told they were about to win the war, and so many people believe their politicians had stabbed them in the back by surrendering. The terms of the TOV were mostly created by the Big Three. These countries were France, led by George Clemenceau, Britain, led by David Lloyd George, and the USA, led by Woodrow Wilson. France wanted a harsh peace deal on Germany because they had suffered the most in the war. This meant that they wanted high reparations on Germany, an independent Rhineland, a lot of restrictions on the German military, and to annex a coal-rich region of the Saarland. This was to make sure Germany could never threaten France again. They also annexed Alsace-Lorraine as it was part of France before the Franco-Prussian War. The UK was divided on how to treat Germany. The public wanted to brutally punish Germany, while David Lloyd George wanted to keep Germany stable for trade. Britain also wanted to destroy the German navy to maintain its naval supremacy, and wanted to take the colonies to expand its colonial empire and get more resources. The USA wanted a lenient peace deal, as they suffered the least in the war. They wanted the peace deal to follow Wilson's 14 points. These points advocated for self-determination, which is the idea that a nation should be able to rule itself and not be ruled by another country. An example of the opposite of this would be the British Empire and its various colonies. Wilson also wanted to establish an entity called the League of Nations, which was an organization created to avoid another world war. In the actual peace deal, this was created. However, Congress voted for the USA not to join it, as they advocated for a policy of isolationism, which is the idea that a country shouldn't get involved in foreign politics and should focus on itself. And if the US was dealing with international crises and stuff, which it would be if it was a prominent part of the League of Nations, it wouldn't be able to do that, so they didn't join. The actual terms of the TOV can be summarized in 4 categories. In Article 231, Germany had to accept responsibility for starting the war. Germany had to pay 132 billion gold marks in reparations to those nations affected by the war. That's 6.6 billion pounds, and this crippled the German economy. Germany could only have 100,000 men in the army and 15,000 in the navy. They couldn't have tanks, or an air force, or submarines, or conscription. They could also only have 6 battleships, and the Rhineland was demilitarized. In Europe, Lithuania annexed Memel, Poland annexed Posen and West Prussia, Danzig was established as an independent state, Belgium annexed small parts of West Germany, Denmark annexed northern Schleswig, and France retook Alsace-Lorraine and occupied the Saarland for 5 years. In Africa, Britain took most of German East Africa and some of German Togoland and Cameroon as mandates. They also got most of German Southwest Africa as a mandate, but gave it to the Dominion of South Africa. France got most of German Cameroon and some of Togoland. Belgium got Rwanda and Burundi as the mandate of Rwanda-Urundi, and Portugal got land in German East Africa and German Southwest Africa. In the Pacific, Northern Papua New Guinea and Nauru were given to the British Dominion of Australia as mandates. Western Samoa was given to the British Dominion of New Zealand, and Japan would take the rest of the German Pacific and would also occupy German China until 1922 when they returned it to China. The Germans did not like the Treaty of Versailles, as it placed 6.5 million to 7 million Germans out of German rule, and 13% of German land in Europe was lost. Along with this, Germany had no say in the terms of the treaty, causing Germans to call it a diktat. Germany was also kept out of the international community by not being allowed in the League of Nations.